Hi there, I'm John, welcome to the Gun Shop, and today we have Howard from Outside Days with us, and we're going to talk about how to buy game shooting.
Very big subject, really quite simple, John, to be honest with you, but you need to know what you want.
Okay.
If you don't know what you want, then you need to have some idea of what questions to ask, really. So the things to think about are probably budget, how much you're actually looking at spending. And that can vary. You can buy a little walk-up day for a couple of £100. You can go and spend tens of thousands of pounds if you really have a big grouse day.
Yeah.
So obviously everyone has a budget.
Do most people lead with how much they want to spend when they speak to you, or is that...
It varies. Some people come to me with a budget. We've got a team of guns, we're an individual that wants a certain amount. Others will come to me knowing a little bit more what they're after.
Yeah.
But obviously I think what we're talking about here is people that don't know much about buying games shooting. So whether you actually mention the budget to me when you start, or whether that's in the back of your mind, is a different thing. The other thing you need to consider is a geographical location.
Yeah.
Now, obviously at different seasons, we start up north on the grouse from August onwards, then move on to the partridge, then partridge and pheasant mixed until the end of January. Maybe you want to shoot later, maybe you want to go to Spain or Ireland.
Yeah.
That lengthens the season for you. So you need to have a geographical, do you want to be home in time for tea? Do you want to have an overnight stay? What do you want to do? How far do you want to travel? I guess the other thing you need to consider at this point is your own shooting ability. Now, everyone phones me up and says we want tall birds, we want high birds.
Everyone's opinion of a high bird is very different, though,
Exactly,
right?
yeah. You show some teams real high birds and they go home very dejected, very upset by
10
the
to
whole
1.
thing. Yeah.
Expecting a 30-yard
so
bird.
you need to be honest about it. And if you're going to shoot in some of the flatter ground, as in Hampshire or some of the eastern counties, you're not going to see high birds. The keeper will do the best he can,
But, yeah,
but unless you're throwing birds off a mountain that's 40 yards high,
you trying to
You're
drive
not-
a pheasant off a flat,
Yes. So the keeper skill comes into it. So if you start with those basic remits, if you like, in the back of your mind or out loud at front, what your budget is,
Yeah.
the sort of geographical location you want to be in, so when do you want to travel, and the sort of quality of birds that you genuinely want. And you have to be honest with yourself here, and this is one where it becomes very difficult for people sometimes to actually be, a lack of experience can tell this.
Yeah.
But if you're going to deal through an agent like myself, that's what we're there for. We can help guide you and steer you.
That's the benefit of going in there.
Very much the benefit of an agent. So once you've got those things on, you then might have, you can only shoot on a Saturday, or you want to shoot midweek or whatever. Now, obviously, the earlier you buy your shooting, we probably book 75% of our shooting by March or April for the following season. And if you want the best choice and the widest choices, the earlier you book, the better it is. We still have days for sale now, and we're now in July
I think,
still, yeah. I mean,
Could be
we'll
second too.
had to think about when we were then. But we'll still be selling days right through the season, but it'll be odd days here and there rather than having an open diary that we can sell into.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's lots of aspects of a day. Some people want full catering and the food and the drink and the hospitality is as important as the shooting. Other people would rather take their own sandwich along and spend the money on shooting and not the hospitality side of things.
But there is something for everybody out there, right? So
There is something for everybody.
it is just about, like you say, being very clear in your mind of what you want up front, or having somebody
Someone that
guide
can,
you in
talk,
those
that can
choices.
talk you through it, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options out there. Prices can vary dramatically.
Yeah. Do you get what you pay for, generally speaking, in your opinion?
You have to be careful. It's like anything else. If you deal with a reputable shooter or a reputable agent, you'll get what you pay for. There are people out there that I would say are less than trustworthy. But I think that's probably any industry.
Unfortunately so.
Obviously a gun shop like this doesn't count on that score. So yeah, I mean, it's a case of, again, don't be afraid to ask for references.
Yeah.
If someone phones me and they haven't dealt with me before, I'm talking about taking multiple £1,000s off them. They might want to speak to
Because it is,
people.
generally speaking, it's big money.
Yeah, it's
Even
a lot
a cheap
of money.
day over guns, it's...
Precisely.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to say, right, can you tell me someone that's shot with you before? Can I talk to any of your other clients? I'd be very happy to do that with people. Doesn't happen very often.
No.
But on the times it does, I'll give them half a dozen clients who I know will speak to them and they can pick which one they want to talk to. But normally if you're dealing with an established company that's been going for a while, like any industry again, if a company's been going for a while,
They haven't done too much wrong in
they've
that
done
time.
something right, along the way. So, I mean, those are really the things you need to look at. Then when it gets down to the more nitty-gritty, you can then start fine-tuning. And the more experience you get, the more specific people get. I mean, I get emails that just say, I want to go game shooting, what have you got? That's a bit like saying, I want some food, what have you got in the supermarket?
Yeah.
There are a lot of options, a lot of choices, and the answer is yes.
What do you want?
Yeah, I mean, what do you want?
Yeah.
And the more specific you can be when you go to someone and ask for it, the more likelihood you'll get of getting what you want.
Can't get simpler than that.
Shopping for anything else. And it's a case of thinking about it. And as I said just now, if you don't really know or you're new to the sport, don't be afraid to ask, be led. Find someone. Yes, you can be advised by friends. As we all know in anything, being advised by friends can be good.
Yes.
It can also be in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man.
It's non-objective, isn't it? Yeah.
So really, buyer beware. Make sure you've done your background on who you're buying from a little bit, and know what you want.
Okay. Final question. If it's just you or one other person, how would you go around it? Or for a non-full team of guns?
A non-full team of guns. I mean, companies like Outside Days, we sell scratch days. We do normally 2 days a month.
Yeah.
They tend to be smaller days. They tend to be sort of the 80 to 150 bird days.
Easier to commit to.
Easier to commit to. People that tend to not have a whole team or want to buy a whole day tend to be buying at that end of the market anyway.
Which there's nothing wrong with.
Absolutely nothing wrong with it all. No, far from it. I mean, they're some of the most fun days actually.
I agree.
But we will do a scratch day, probably say two a month throughout the season. They go out on our mail list, or people phone up and say there's 2 of us or 1 of us wants to come shooting. The only downside on that is obviously shooting, as you know yourself, John, is a very sociable sport.
It is.
And if you're buying a scratch day, you need someone that's going to run the day and make sure it gels.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've heard some
You
horror
almost
stories.
do need an agent there just to make
You
sure
need someone that's
everybody
going to
is
step in and deal with it, make sure that
talking,
no
yeah.
one's being greedy and shooting more than their share, make sure that everyone's being taken care of, make sure that everyone's safe. I mean, safety obviously on our days, as far as we're concerned, is paramount above everything else.
Of course, yeah.
And we will watch very closely, certainly for the first drive or two, to make sure that all the line is safe. If there's not, we'll step in quietly, have a word, stand with someone to help them out a little bit. Safety is normally a sign of lack of experience,
Yeah.
as opposed to someone just being dangerous.
No, nobody wants to be dangerous for the
Nobody
sake of
wants
it,
to
do
be
they?
dangerous, it's a case of not knowing what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, scratch days are possible. Some shoots will run them much harder. You don't know who you're going to shoot with. The downsides, obviously, it's a lot easier to set a date for yourself and a friend than it is to try and find a full team of 8 guns.
Indeed, yeah. Indeed. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I think we
No
covered just
problem
about
at all.
everything there. And we'll see you next time. And if anybody wants to, obviously, organise shooting, I stand by Howard as probably one of the better agents out there. And his details are below.
Thank you very much, John.
Take care.
Bye-bye.